welcome to the 252nd taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of Grand Prairie, Texas, and some of the people that are responsible for it, some of the people that are continuing to make history. Today we are very excited. We have two illustrious gentlemen with us today, and we're going to talk about Navy Dallas and the wonderful 4th of July and the honorary commanders of Navy Dallas and a very special trip that they made. And we were just real pleased to welcome to the set today the commander of Navy Dallas, Captain Jim Cannon.
Ruthie, it's great to be back.
Welcome. We're just so glad to have you back with us.
Congratulations on your re-election.
Thank you.
Great.
And Colonel Lynn Stewart.
Thank you, Ruthie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Colonel Lynn Stewart, we're just so glad to have you with us, and I believe that's the Marines.
That's correct.
All right?
Yes,
The Navy and the Marines. We're really mixing it up today, aren't we? Isn't that great?
Well, we are the Sea Service.
Yes, yes,
We both work for the Secretary of the Navy.
yes.
We've been joined together since about 1948. I think it would be the first year, and very proud of that affiliation.
That's great.
We call it the Navy Marine Team, I believe.
The Navy Marine Team. Well, now that's good. And now I believe under your umbrella, though, you have several other branches of the service. Did you just cut them out today and just bring your favorite? Well, that was a leading question, so we will not answer that and put you on the spot. But we were so pleased to be a member of the honorary commanders last year. And when the honorary commanders had a trip to Lejeune, North Carolina last year, we got out to the Navy Air Station, and we waited for an hour and a half, and our plane didn't show. And so I didn't get to go on the trip as an honorary commander last year. But then this year, in the reinstigation of the honorary commanders for Navy Dallas, well, I got an invitation. You said, let's go to North Carolina, and you took a great big group of wonderful of the honorary commanders. Tell us about the honorary commanders. The people in our viewing audience may not even know that there's such an exciting, I guess, integration of the neighborhood into the Navy as a guest. And tell us about it.
Well, as the Colonel mentioned, the Navy Marine Corps team is very important. And the 14th Marines, which are home-based here, their headquarters, Colonel Stewart is the boss. Right here at NAS Dallas. And he hosted this year's trip to Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is a major installation for the Marines. And I would probably defer to the Colonel for all the great information as to the numbers and men and women that make up Camp Lejeune. But it's a very nice facet of what we try to show the honorary commanders, which is not only what the Navy does in air, surface, and below the surface in our submarine force, but we also rely on the Marines to show us, the 14th Marines, their artillery, ground operations, and the MAG 41 generally hosts something of the air side of the Marine Corps. We'll also make trips hosted by the Texas Air National Guard and the Army Reserve, which has the next trip, which is to basically tour the lovely city of Grand Prairie in their Chinook helicopters, which is going to happen actually tomorrow, the 28th of June.
Yes, and we're so sad that we can't remake that trip. We made the one last year when we were an honorary commander, but we're going to be in Austin all day tomorrow, and we're going to miss that. And I know it's going to be a great day because you have real great weather for it, don't you?
We do. It's planned to be nice weather, and then we'll also have a luncheon there on base and take any of the honorary commanders around the base to show them some of the key sites. Because as many places as we've taken the honorary commanders, a lot of them have never seen NAS Dallas from one end of the runway to the other. So that'll be a good day.
And not many of them have had the privilege of riding in a Huey helicopter, and that was so exciting for me last year. Pardon me, I get all choked up when I talked about riding in the Huey. That was a great, great experience.
I can say for a fact that seeing Ruthie man up that helicopter last year was a sight I'll never forget. That was great, because all the honorary commanders got on there and put on their helmets and flew around Grand Prairie.
Yes, and it was wonderful. And I couldn't imagine a great-great-grandmother in a Huey. And when I told some of my friends that, they said, "You're not really an honorary commander, are you?" And I said, "Yes, I am, and I can prove it, and I have my pictures in the Huey." All right. The Chamber of Commerce, in concert with Navy Dallas and under your direction, allows a certain amount of these honorary commanders. And I believe you take a wonderful trip to San Diego. What do they do when they go to San Diego?
Well, the most recent San Diego trip, we visited the submarine trainers, and this is where our young sailors learn to drive and learn to know the components and the systems that exist on our nuclear submarines. We also took them to Fightertown, which is Naval Air Station Miramar, a home of Top Gun, and we were able to tour the facilities, the hangars, and see a few of the Top Gun aircraft. They got to see the F-5s, the F-A-18 Hornet, the F-14 Tomcat, and even the Navy's version of the F-16, which is the Falcon jet, which is built right across town at what used to be General Dynamics, but is now Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed. All right. Now let's get with Colonel Stewart a little bit and talk about the trip to North Carolina, because that was very exciting. Colonel Stewart, would you tell us a little bit about the arrangements that were made and this crew that you took there and what we excitingly enjoyed that day?
Well, we were indeed fortunate to have the opportunity to bring several of our members, the leaders in the community in the Dallas-Fort Worth area out to Camp Lejeune. The Marine Corps has two major training commands, one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. Of course, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where we went this year, we had about twice a year they provide a demonstration, if you will, to show many of the civilian members out here just what the Marine Corps Air Ground Task Force is all about, and how it provides the expeditionary capability to the country to respond to a crisis that may develop anywhere in the world. And I think what we saw out there, Ruthie, was certainly a clear demonstration of the variety of types of equipment, from the ground equipment, the aviation equipment, the armor equipment that can be very quickly and expeditiously taken to an area where a crisis is developing and serve the interests of the United States in protecting or helping evacuate, for an example, Americans from an area that is not doing so well. I think we have some recent examples of some of the Marine Air Ground Task Force operations. Even with the Bosnian situation right now, we
Yes.
have a Marine Air Ground Task Force that's sitting off the coast there. And I think our listeners probably would recall just a few days ago the rescue operation that the Marine Corps was involved in to liberate or to recover the downed Air Force pilot that we had. And that was that was a good example of the Marine Air Ground Task Force responding to this nation's call to assist in the recovery of one of our downed pilots. But at Camp Lejeune, it was a microcosm of all those different things put together in a short demonstration for us. But I thought all the members that attended that event with us from the Grand Prairie area and Dallas area really got a good view of what it's all about and what the Marine Corps is capable of doing. And that's exactly what that demonstration is designed to do.
Well, I was mostly impressed. The demonstration was wonderful. That was so exciting. I thought I was at war. I really did. And sitting up in the bleachers and watching them go through their paces, it was very exciting. But prior to that, we had an opportunity to go around station to station to the different types of equipment, and we even got to eat lunch with you all.
That's correct.
And I'll have you know, I have never had a lunch like that before. I may have another one in the future, but I'd like for you to talk a little bit about, we brought some sample lunches, didn't we?
We sure
Yeah.
did.
Yeah,
And,
let's talk about them.
We like to refer to this as the real Marine cuisine here. But truly, over the years, I think the military has evolved and improved their individual, what we used to call the C rations, and now we call MREs, which stands for Meals Ready to Eat.
Yes.
And of course, I believe we have some samples here of the type of meals that basically are issued to our Marines and sailors and airmen and soldiers, but all come in a nice little neat waterproof package that can be carried in a pocket or
That's
a
one meal.
pack, and that's one meal.
Yes.
And of course, Ruthie, if you're on a diet, this is probably not the cuisine that you would like to have, because these are very high in calories. But that's designed, I think, to
Yes.
support us in very stressful conditions out in the field, but they're very substantial, and I think probably the best way to show you is to open one of these things up and
Here's mine that is open
and
that
you
I
already have
used
one
there.
open? All right.
I ate only the entree that was in there because that was chicken and rice, and it was a huge meal, and all of these other things came with it that I didn't eat, and you can show and tell that.
Well, we even have, they even come with a capability to heat the meal by a little chemical agent here that you just put a little water with it and place the particular meal or whatever in there, and it very nicely warms your meal. And also, for an example, it kind of comes with, just like at home on the dinner table, when you serve the meal and you break out the loaf of bread to
Yes.
accompany the meal. We also have assortments that accompany a particular meal, and for example, little bread slices, which can be used for the sandwich making or however. Let's just pull out a few things here. Here's our, this is the dessert portion, a little chocolate-covered brownie cake.
Yes.
That actually is quite good. And
He sounds as if that were from experience.
Yes.
I think so.
yes,
Yes.
I've eaten a few of these in a career. And of course, a little packet of crackers that normally accompany peanut butter or jam or some of the other items that might be contained. One of the nice things about this type of a package is that there's quite a variety of different types of meals, so that it's not like having to eat the same meal over and over again, because this does constitute our breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, I see.
Beverage packages, for example, we have here some grape juice mix that could be made. And here is the, let's see, this is some cheese for a cheese spread that can be placed on with your crackers. So you see, you really have quite a variety, including some utensils in which to use, spoons and so forth, to eat your meal, and some snacks, a little
M&Ms,
M&Ms, plain. This one happens to be plain, but I think they come in peanuts and whatever.
Yes, that's right.
And for those, and I think they put this in here primarily for Texans,
Yeah.
but we even have a little Tabasco sauce.
I
for
saved that
those-
particularly.
Those
That
of
was
us who have, who like a little hot sauce with our meal.
Yes, yes.
So, and then of course there's a little accessory packet that has some instant coffee, some sugar, salt, chewing gum, matches, hand cleaner, and so forth. It rounds out the package. So it's really quite a neat little package that very substantial and works out very well.
Right.
And, you know, I saw Captain Cannon not only eating one of those, but he seemed like he was relishing it. He was really hungry. And what did you have on your diet that day?
I had spaghetti.
Oh, spaghetti. And mine was the chicken and rice. And I believe I have another one with hash or whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
So there are about 5 different entrees that you can choose from, right?
Yes,
That's
and
great.
at least 5, probably a few
11,
more.
Yeah. I know that they had 11 separate entrees the day we went, and Lynn kept us out in the field long enough that I was hungry enough that it tasted great.
Oh, it tasted
I give it a
great.
4-star meal.
Oh, yes. Oh, that is great. Just like the 4-star general.
There you go.
All right. And he's going to have to work harder to be a 5-star. All
There
right.
hasn't been one for a while,
That's
so.
good. Well, I want you all to know how much, as just a regular citizen of Grand Prairie and an ex-honorary commander, I was very honored to go on this trip, and I believe it gave me a much greater appreciation for every type of military service that is given to our country, because I saw some of the things that they do, and they were, all of their demonstrations were second to none. They were just crackerjack. And
If I could say something, and my admiration of the Marine Corps is they're a very focused organization, and as we've downsized in the military, the Marine Corps is to be commended for keeping that focus and in front of Congress and in the budget process, focusing on that 13-man rifle group and only buying the equipment that is required to support that. That's the integrity of the United States Marine Corps, and they do a very, very good job in the Congress in soliciting their support. And we really need them in the United States Navy because our ships, the purpose is to get the Marines in first and to get them out last. It's one of the primary missions of the United States Navy. If we didn't have the Marine Corps, we would not be as strong a country, and you might not even need a United States Navy.
Now, in the front of our table here, we also have a composition of just a few of the photographs that were taken there that day. And we hope that maybe Leland Burns, who is our educated person in the studio there, that can pick that up and maybe end our show with that great picture composition that we have prepared there. But we know that you have another message for us, and that's about the 4th of July. We're going to leave Camp Lejeune for just a moment, leave the honorary commanders now, and since we're getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July, we'd like for you to say what you'd like to about that particular very special holiday that we take and why we take it. And anything you'd like to say about it, it's yours.
Well, if I could go first, Lynn, and
Please.
I think it's just one of the great holidays that we celebrate as Americans. We all have our favorite holidays, whether they be religious or political. But I think the 4th of July is very special to most Americans because it does commemorate the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which was 1776. So we're celebrating the 219th anniversary of our freedom. And another honorary commander trip that we took was to Washington, D.C., and when you go, as we did, to the Lincoln and Jefferson memorials, you see some really outstanding words that are inscribed in the edifices there in Washington. And one that was called to mind was the words right out of the Declaration of Independence that was written at the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia. And these words were from that document, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think that that's the thing that I try to focus on the 4th of July, is that how lucky we were that our founding fathers were so visionary as to create a government that 219 years later would not only be the superpower in the world, but still be focused on the rights of the individual citizens. It's very much a pride thing for me to serve in the United States Navy, to represent the ideals of men like Jefferson and George Washington.
That's wonderful. All right, Colonel Stewart, you're next. I
Well-
know you're going to have to testify after that, aren't you?
Well, that's a tough one to follow, but
Yes.
I really agree with Captain Cannon. You know, what we celebrate here is an idea. It's not a holiday. It's an idea. And the idea came from the men that our forefathers that Jim has just mentioned, but the idea is that of freedom and of liberty. And when we think about other places in the world, and certainly Captain Cannon and I, who both probably traveled extensively throughout the world, one can really appreciate the true meaning, the essence of the idea of freedom and of liberty as we celebrate it every 4th of July, because our Constitution was established, I think, and represents not just for America, but it represents a model for the world. And we've seen often where other countries of the world have tried to emulate and do emulate our Constitution and the special liberties and rights that we have identified, the inalienable rights for all human beings, for all men. And so I think we celebrate the idea of freedom and liberty on 4th of July. And I would also say that as a person in the military, it's by no coincidence that every person in the military who raises his right hand and takes the oath swears an oath not to an individual, but to a Constitution. And I think that's what makes our government and our democracy very strong.
And patriotism doesn't come cheap, does it?
No, I think there's a price to pay.
No, there's
And
been a real price paid.
Just this week, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Okinawa campaign, and 16,000 brave Marines, Navy, United States Army and British soldiers died to secure a relatively unknown island, an outer island of the Japanese Empire. And today it's important for our students of history, whether they're high school students or at home, to realize the sacrifices that that generation made to secure 50 years of really world peace. Now, there have been wars, granted. In fact, I think 80-some wars have been fought, separate wars, since the completion of World War II, but these have been localized wars. The world has not seen the killing that existed back in 1945. And we try to keep our troops aware of the sacrifices that the Marines and the sailors before us made and wore these same uniforms and gave their total commitment.
In the closure of Navy Dallas, as you go over west, go west, young man, go west, are you taking the Marines or the Marines taking you with them?
Oh, we're going as a team.
Going as a team, all right.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. That facility shows promise and capability and capacity well into the 21st century. Navy Dallas, as much as we all love it, and it's a beautiful base, and our neighborhood in Grand Prairie has been wonderful to us, is at full capacity. We could not put another squadron or another 14th Marine unit in there. As we move across town, we will not only put 106 aircraft on the flight ramp, we will have room for another 80. We will have room when we fill up our barracks. We will have 5 barracks full, but we'll have 9 in which to fill on drill weekends, as our drilling reservists come from everywhere, from Glenview, which is near Chicago, to as far away as Memphis.
So far, you have saved the wing that was about to go night-night down toward San Antonio or Austin or somewhere else. Do you have any other word from the President? Like, did you get a 4th of July message from him that you would like to let people know that you hear from the President of the United States as the commander of the world of Navy Dallas?
Well, I think the President and the Secretary of the Navy and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff take time out of their busy schedules to send all the members of the military, the men and women who sacrifice on a daily basis, to tell them they appreciate what the United States military does. I wished I would get something personal, but I think you have to win the World Series or the Stanley Cup before you,
Yes.
you get the President to call you directly.
Yes. Yes, but you may have to have that facing you one of these days, but we hope not. We hope you'll never be
Right.
activated to the degree that you have to go and rescue someone or someone has to rescue you.
Yes, Ruth,
Yes.
that's true.
I want to thank you all very much for taking the time to come talk about Navy Dallas and the Marines, and also about Camp Lejeune. That was an exciting time, and also to end our show on the 4th of July and how important it is to us. And I want to thank you, and if you'll take a message back to all of those under your command, how much we appreciate them, and want to thank you for
Well,
the
thanks,
time.
Ruthie. It's great to always be here and talk to you.
Thank you very much. You know, in appreciation of you giving us the opportunity to come out and join you today, and in recognition of all the fine support that you've given, not only to the military, but especially to the Marines, we decided to not only make you an honorary commander, but make you an honorary Marine. So, and of course, you have to wear the hat to be the honorary Marine.
Oh, I will wear the hat to be the honorary Marine.
There we go.
Oh,
All
yes.
Good job.
Yes, good job.
Congratulations there, Ruthie.
And thank you very much. That is very exciting. So now I'm in 2 services, and I think we ought to hold this up as we try to leave here and see if we can get a shot of this.
Okay.
All right. And see if we can get our camera to clue in on that.
What the Marines were able to show us were some things like landmines. They had their demonstration. You can see this one photo right here is Commander Cox and myself standing by a Marine Harrier, an AV-8, a jump jet, a vertical takeoff capacity that all we need is a clearing, and we can land and refuel and arm up a fighter aircraft that the Marines fly in and out of a jungle environment. You can see a lot of the honorary commanders here sitting in the crowd, and the other sites are, you can see a howitzer over on this side. Looks like a I don't know what actually caliber or millimeter that might be.
155 howitzer.
155. Go to the expert. And, but we saw a lot of good demonstrations on field capabilities by the Marine Corps, which was a great learning experience for me, as I'm sure it was for all of
What
you.
is this? That you and I with a young man
Chemical.
in
That's our
a chemical?
chemical, nuclear biological chemical suits that we demonstrated how to wear those.
We saw some exciting things here when we were on the trip.
Yeah, unfortunately, chemical weapons are a part of real-world battle today, and And our troops face the possibility of chemical warfare in the Gulf, and so we train them very well to be ready and to wear the proper equipment. And even since the Gulf War, there's been 3 new suits developed to better protect our troops, our men and women who might find themselves in an environment where chemical weapons might be used against them.
Yes. Well, I think it's just wonderful that we have you all that are watching for our defense, and that you're not only doing that, but that you're developing an interplay with each and every person in Grand Prairie that would like to know more about you.
Right.
Now, we have about 5 minutes left, and we're going to cut out the 4th of July. We're going to now go to each one of you all individually. We need to learn just a little bit more about Colonel Lynn Stewart. Don't you think we do?
I think we ought to know a lot more about Colonel Lynn Stewart.
Yes. Why don't you look out into your camera and tell us just a little bit about yourself and some of the sojourns you've been on, Colonel Stewart.
Okay, well, I've been in the Marine Corps for approximately 25 years now. And my wife and I have always said that we would get out of the Marine Corps when it stops being fun. And we've been saying that since day one when we first entered the Marine Corps. So we do have a lot of fun, but it's a tremendous commitment, commitment not only on the individual, but as any Marine or military individual, but a tremendous commitment on the family as well. And so I've been very blessed and fortunate to have a family that has supported my military career, and therefore it has been fun. And we continue to serve our country in that capacity. But I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and came in through the Officer Candidate School program in the Marine Corps after attending college at Miami University in Ohio. And after a series of schools and training went on, my first assignment was at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. So when we went to Camp Lejeune on our recent trip, that was like old home week for me. But subsequent assignments in the Marine Corps included artillery battalion commander, artillery battery commander. I've served with the United Nations. I've served with the United Nations in Egypt and Lebanon and Syria and that part of the Middle East. I've also had the opportunity to attend several schools, and I think that's one of the great things about our profession is that you can never finish. There's always another school, and the schooling process is continuous. So no matter how old we senior officers become, there's still another school out there to attend. So it's been an adventure. It's been exciting. It's been a real reward for myself personally as well as the family. And
this is what year in the Marines you've served?
Yes,
what
sir.
Year? What?
25th.
25th year, yes, ma'am.
25th, like your silver anniversary.
It truly is. In fact, yesterday was the date. The 26th of June was my 25th year to the day.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's wonderful.
Well, it's been
wonderful.
a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Ruthie.
Thank you so much. And
Thanks for having us.
we'll give you equal time the next time, but we needed to know a little bit more about Colonel Stewart, didn't
Oh,
we?
I needed to know that too.
Yes. And I want to thank y'all for being here today. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.